Is it wrong to just want attractive characters in video games? No, it's not. No, it is not. Like the hypocrisy of it is insane too. Like what these developers, some of these developers be saying, or the people making these games be saying, we don't want to have our basically say we don't want our ladies looking too good like Stellar Blade, or we're sexualizing them and all this other stuff. But the hypocrisy is all over the place. Because then the men characters all muscled in, barely wearing anything, chest showing, legs showing, and they don't say anything about that. And the funniest part is, it'll be in the same game. Big example. I remember when MK11 was out. I don't know if y'all remember this, but before the game came out, not the MK1, the recent one, the one before it, MK11. I remember the huge backlash of that game where people was complaining because someone, I can't remember who said it, but someone in that field who was making Mortal Kombat 11 was talking about, we don't want to sexualize our ladies. We don't want them to look, too, basically they don't want them to look too good. I'm paraphrasing, so if you notice, MK11's ladies, like all the women in that game, look totally different than the older ones. More revealing, more sexy, good looking, whatever you want to say in the old previous ones. And you see the huge change in MK11. Me personally, it wasn't going to make me stop playing the game. That's not what I play Mortal Kombat for. But I always say, if that's what Mortal Kombat is, if that's what makes a franchise big, because there are some people that will buy the game just for that, then don't be mad when you get backlash from it, because a lot of people didn't like that. It was like, wait a minute. Especially when there was huge hypocrisy on MK11, because then you see Johnny Cage, chest showing, legs showing, I ain't gonna say worse, but the biggest one was Kotal Khan. Kotal Khan had an outfit with just basically his underwear and had all his skin showing. But we don't want to sexualize our games and make, according to your version of sexualization, because I don't believe having characters looking good is sexualized. Now, there are some, I can understand, but overall it's not. But according to that logic, they're doing the same for the men. I never understood the hypocrisy of, we want to do this to the ladies and make them less attractive, basically, but then have the men look like eye candy. And I asked some ladies, I was like, yo, do y'all feel the same way? Like, I'm talking about gamers. And they said, it was like, no, I actually don't. I love seeing a woman that look good. It makes me want to, some people say they want to make me want to go to the gym and try to, work out and look good. Some just like, I just enjoy the looks of a beautiful woman. Some are lesbians. I always say that. They always point at the men, say that the men are sexualized, all the men want. But they forget, lesbians like ladies too. Duh. It's like, so even like, I know some lesbians, they was like, we like them too. So it's just a whole, I don't know what this illusion that some of these companies be living in. And it's not just games. You see it in movies and TV shows. It's funny though, because it's starting to die down, because they realize they're losing a lot of money, because it's not just the men, it's the women that are standing up for it too, with the fact of, stop making characters, in our eyes, it's just making them less attractive because you're trying to prove a point, especially when you're hypocritical about it. They was doing that with Marvel movies. We don't want the women to look some kind of way, but every movie that Chris Hemsworth was in, every Thor movie, didn't he have his shirt off? And it went as far in Love and Thunder where he was he was naked on screen, having the ladies pass out. So it's okay on the men's side, but the women's side, you can't look good. Nah. No, there is nothing wrong with having a woman look good in a game. Having both sides, male and female. Sometimes people do buy a game or watch a movie just for the visuals. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, what they do in their private time, that's their business. I don't want to know, don't care to know. And please stop with the hypocrisy too. If you're going to be that way, go all in. Have the men be clothed up too. But anyway, I'm interested in seeing what she says. I actually got put on by her through Asmongold. Shout out to Asmongold. He gave her a shout out of her video he reacted to. And I noticed, I'm like, she looks familiar, because I saw the thumbnail and I didn't recognize it at first. But then I was like, oh wait, I know who she is. The channel's called The Background NPC. I'll put the original video in the description below. But I would love to hear from a woman's point of view. Even though I did off the cameras, I asked, people I know. But I want to, see it on here on YouTube, see what her point of view is on it. And show y'all that there are ladies out here that are saying the same thing we are. It's not just a man. They don't listen to the lies that people are like, oh, just a man are trying. No, it's both sides. Anyway, let's see what she has to say about it. But no, there is nothing
I just do
wrong.
not understand why some developers keep...
Wait, I'm sorry.
And all of this is why I just do not understand why some developers keep getting it wrong. It really feels so simple. Yes, give us great gameplay, fun mechanics, a interesting and meaningful story.
Yes, that's first.
Layer attractive, pretty characters on top of that to create hype around the game, grab our interest, and hold our attention. All of this just makes for a much more enjoyable experience.
Facts.
So this video is kind of related to my very first video about women in games, but before we get into it, we have to acknowledge everybody that is subscribed to the channel. Wow, honestly,
yeah, I was one of those people too that
don't really even know what to
helped
say.
support
This
because
has been such
Asmongold reacted to a video she did, and he asked the people on this channel to go support her and help her grow. And I can't remember the numbers, but she grew drastically. Shout out to her. Yeah, but that's how I knew about her channel too, was through Asmongold.
Overwhelming week in the best way, but thank you to every single one of you for all of the comments and
I mean, she made a great point that I can't remember what exactly it was because it was a minute ago, but I remember
found it very interesting,
really enjoying her video that Asmongold reacted to.
I don't care what my character looks like, I just want a good game. And while sure,
wait, what? Sorry.
Let's talk about hot characters. I've always found it very interesting when I see some gamers say, I don't care what my character looks like, I just want a good game. And while, sure, I believe some people probably do feel that way,
many.
When you actually look around at what's successful and what's not, what resonates and what doesn't, the idea that visuals don't matter, it doesn't really hold up.
It's not true.
Second you start
and Stellar Blade was the big slap in the face to those people who was trying to move with their agendas. Because I'd never forget when that game was being announced and it was on its way being released. There were so many people who are, for these agendas they be doing, that was pushing for this game not to be successful. And it was so stupid. When that game came out, though, it shut them right up. The numbers don't lie. The Stellar Blade did amazing. The character looks amazing, but the gameplay is really good. It's not just for the looks for me. I actually enjoy the game as a whole. But when you compare that character to how these other developers be trying to make their characters, case in point, like the new Fable game coming out. When you look at that character, then you look at Stellar Blade, you're like, oh, okay, there we go. And the money don't lie. Hey, Stellar Blade did numbers, while Dragon Age Veilguard flopped and other games that have their agendas flopped. So, yeah, anyway, shout out to Stellar Blade. That's a really good game.
Visuals play a huge role in whether something hits or flops.
Yeah, you got to catch the eye, and not just by gameplay.
One of the most profitable parts of the entire gaming industry. The truth is, I think most of us do care, even if it's subconsciously. And this isn't just a gaming thing. But for whatever reason, the gaming industry seems especially confused about it. Because
every time I play Witcher 3, I'm trying to get to her.
Shows, we care about how the characters look. We always have. Now, just to be clear, an attractive character cannot save bad writing or bad gameplay. A great design won't make a boring game fun, and
absolutely
is totally
not.
Pointless.
The game still has to be good. I'm not paying $70 for a game just for looks.
It's not like a game is necessarily doomed if the characters are uninspired or unattractive. But let's be honest, we have been done dirty quite a few times at this point. But when it does work, when you combine great writing, a solid gameplay, and a compelling visual design, that's really when the secret sauce hits. And that's when a character truly becomes iconic. So, how important is beauty really? What can it actually be used for in storytelling? And why does it matter at all? Yes, beauty is completely subjective, but let's try and figure it out together. When it comes to storytelling, beauty isn't just about looking good. It's about what that beauty communicates.
And how you act, how the character acts.
And for personality, purpose, or the emotional tone of a character. Take Cortana from Halo. She's sleek, luminous, and kind of untouchable. Her ethereal design isn't random. It reinforces her role as an AI. She's attractive, mysterious, highly advanced, but also just slightly out of reach. Or Aerith from Final Fantasy. She's beautiful in this really soft, gentle way. Her design radiates hope and
franchise I gotta try. I've never really played Final Fantasy.
There's something very delicate and endearing about her that sticks with you. Then there's Eve from Stellar Blade.
There we go.
Yeah, people definitely noticed her design pretty much immediately. She's bold.
And let me be real. The developers know what they're doing. Like, there are some outfits and all that stuff and camera angles where you're like, I see what you're doing, but hey, it sells. Women want to see that and men want to see that. Heck, I think the character look good. Am I sitting there doing some weird stuff? Absolutely not. But it's delightful to the eyes. I'm not sitting there like, can this cutscene be over? I ain't trying to see her. No, I ain't gonna front. It makes her cutscenes even more, how should I say it, enjoyable to watch. Or that, like I said, yes, there's outfits where you're like, all right, is she going swimming or is she fighting robots out here? But still, what's the crime in it? You know, and it worked. It sold.
And yes, super hot. But what's cool is that once the game launched, the gameplay actually backed it up.
Exactly. I'll say the gameplay does match it. It's really good.
From Claire Obscure for a second, because he is undeniably very handsome. The white hair, the posture, the somber expression. He's restrained, haunted, and you immediately feel like there's something deeper going on. These characters aren't designed to just be pretty. They're designed with intention. Their looks are part of their emotional blueprint, and the fact that they're attractive is what actually initially draws you in. Their looks tell you how to feel before a single line of dialogue. As humans, we are biologically wired to respond to beauty, and that's not a bad thing.
Facts.
So when a character's design feels off, or it doesn't match the story we're being told, that disconnect can make it way harder to emotionally connect. And this kind of visual storytelling has been around for ages. This is nothing new, and it's not just in games. It's everywhere.
It's been like that forever. It's not just games, TV shows, movies, etc.
Think about Aragorn.
Heck,
Rugged,
even certain like books.
Weathered, and quietly noble. His entire look reflects the burden that he carries, and you can see the weight of his past just by looking at him. Then there's Éowyn and Arwen, two beautiful women with totally different vibes. One is a warrior with conviction, the other is a very soft, ethereal queen. And their looks reflect who they are at their core. And that's
as a kid, I used to be attracted to Arwen. I used to think she was the most prettiest woman ever.
Here, but I have to talk about my love for the Mummy series very quickly. Because Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz weren't just very fun, flirty,
they had great
characters.
chemistry.
They were extremely captivating.
They don't make them like that no more. I wish they did. That chemistry is really good.
Okay, but their beauty didn't just decorate the film.
I said this before with movies. They starting to put, and I hope they change it soon. Every now and then you get a good chemistry couple, but lately it's just them trying to see who's the prettiest guy and prettiest girl, put them in a movie, and that's it. No, their chemistry has to work too. Yes, these two are good looking people, but their chemistry was very believable. You really thought they was married, and I was glad they continually like with having a son. It was unfortunate that she didn't show up in the third one. It was someone else, but still. And as a matter of fact, you could tell the difference from the first two when it came to her and then the other lady who played his wife. Sorry, something was outside happening. But you could tell the difference between them two. And it just shows chemistry has to work. And that's one thing I hope as a person who loves movies. And I don't mind rom-coms and romantic movies. It's just lately I've been driven away from it because the chemistry of the two doesn't work much. It's just two people that are either has a huge following on social media, so they put them in the movie for more viewership, or it's just two good-looking people with no chemistry. They have to work together, and they're on the Mount Rushmore of some of the best, like I guess you could say, action hero couples ever. They were really good. I heard they're making a new Mummy movie. That should be interesting.
I actually love this series so much.
Yes.
I used to work at the Mummy roller coaster at Universal, and I may or may not have hearing loss in my one ear thanks to Brendan Fraser screaming for his coffee at the end of the ride. Just a little bit of NPC lore for you. So if we know that beauty helps tell the story, what about when it's entirely in the player's hands? Let's talk about character customization and the literal billions being spent on it. Video game cosmetics are a multi-billion-dollar industry. In fact, Media Research projects that purely cosmetic in-game purchases will reach $100 billion a year by 2028.
Goodness gracious.
For a second. $100 billion a year for making your character look nice. Listen, all right, I am not ashamed that I myself played a part in this pretty recently. I hadn't touched Fortnite in like 7 or 8 years, but I randomly started playing duos again over the last few months, and pretty much right after I did, I saw none other than Spike Spiegel and Faye Valentine.
Oh, wow. I haven't played Fortnite in a minute. I gotta check that out. That's cool to have Cowboy Bebop in it. I wonder what other animes they got. Yu Yu Hakusho?
Some of the characters I love so much in a game that I've unironically been having a ton of fun with. It was almost like I had no choice here. Quick side note. Faye Valentine definitely goes on our list of amazing female characters.
Yes,
for sure.
absolutely.
And I must confess, I also purchased the Sabrina Carpenter skin. Her dress was just so pretty. Now on the flip side, the opposite is true too. When character design fails to resonate, players clock it immediately. This is very old news at this point, but I always think about Concord. This was really the first time, at least for me, that I had seen so much public backlash about
That was an
character design.
embarrassment.
And for Concord,
what happened to it
yeah,
too.
it kind of seems like this was one of the biggest reasons that it flopped. People
Yeah, I'm not
did
surprised it
not
flopped.
like the characters.
They did not care about the
Awkward,
fan base. They care
uninspired,
about whatever they was
off-putting,
trying to do.
Forced. In a market full of games where the character designs are intended to be inherently beautiful, bold, attractive, Concord's cast kind of looked like they were built by a committee just to check boxes. And then there's Starfield. This game was supposed to be massive, story-rich,
I never played it.
world-expanding, but on top of just so-so gameplay, the one thing I kept seeing over and over again was how unappealing, bland-looking, and emotionally empty the NPCs felt. They didn't draw you in or match the tone of the world. For the most part, they were just generic copy-paste that you didn't really want to engage with. Another game that comes to mind that I've mentioned.
Just out of respect, she's posting her like social. Just quick picture. Beep. All right, there we go. Now back to the video.
Before is Star Wars Outlaws. Unfortunately, both good gameplay and good character design were amiss here. And
Yeah,
there
I
were
was
even
very
moments where
disappointed for that
Kate
game.
Didn't look quite human, which is very wild because her actress is so stunning. The blueprint was
Yeah, someone
right
showed me
there,
that later. I was
but
like,
for
why
some
didn't they
reason,
just copy
I guess
her?
They couldn't make a character
Like, fully,
design
like,
for her
yeah,
dresses.
she's adorable.
And
She's
the
gorgeous.
disconnect across all of these examples is important to note because it's not just about realism, it's about relatability. Games are probably the biggest storytelling medium, and a character's design should invite you into the story. People want to feel something when they look at a character. Excitement, admiration, curiosity. And when
Facts.
what you're looking at feels flat, awkward, or overly ordinary, like someone you just passed by on the street, it breaks the fantasy. And that desire for your character to look attractive and appealing, it starts even before the actual game begins. Take Baldur's Gate 3, for example. According to Larian, players collectively spent over 8,000 years just in the character creator. That's like
Goodness
60% of the game's total playtime. Before even starting the game. And yes, I did contribute to that. Because to me, character aesthetics are just part of the immersion.
Yeah,
They're part
she's
of what
right.
makes
I don't
an
put as much
incredible
time
game.
as a lot of
They
people
help me
do,
feel
but
more emotionally
yeah,
anchored in the
I
world
do enjoy the
and make
moments.
for a way more enjoyable experience. And this goes for both male and female characters alike. Even in Red Dead Redemption 2, I loved getting to change Arthur's hair, his beard, and outfits.
That is one
and
of
I'm
my
just so
regrets right there. I've never played a Red Dead game. One of my regrets. I could just start now. Maybe I will. I don't know. But that is one of my regrets. My brother played it. I can't remember what game I was playing when the first Red Dead came out. Cannot remember. It was something around that time. I got to look at the year and look at the games that came out that year that really caught my attention. But yeah, that was a regret that I had. I haven't played. I don't know the story or
glad we
anything.
got to do that because I really felt like I could reflect where he was at mentally and emotionally. That small touch made him feel a lot more real. Now, switching gears for a quick moment. Bear with me here, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and out myself for a second. I love a good romantasy book. Yes, I know, but before you roll your eyes and you click off the video, please just hear me out. This genre includes some of the best-selling books on the market. You maybe have heard of series like Throne of Glass or ACOTAR, and the characters in these stories are described with this enchanted, ethereal kind of beauty. It's dramatic, it's swoony, it's meant to sweep you off your feet, and that's part of the fantasy. It's part of the immersion. There's even one fan favorite image of a certain ACOTAR character that went viral, and for many fans, that's basically canon now. Godspeed to whatever casting director has to find that guy in the real world. They will come for you. The exact same thing happens in anime and animation, sometimes even more intensely. These characters are designed from the ground up to be visually appealing. Their looks are exaggerated, idealized, sometimes maybe a little too much, but we love them for it.
True.
And there's a reason that certain characters dominate cosplay every con season.
Yeah, it glues
or
you
why fans
on.
fight over who's best girl or best boy with genuine passion. Even in the VTuber space, visual design
Like
is everything. There's a
my wife, she shared this with me like 5 years into our marriage. Not that she was hiding it, she wasn't thinking about it. But I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I collect Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, and she chuckled. I was like, "What's so funny?" She was like, "When I was a kid and in my teenage years and going to college and stuff, I had a huge crush, or high school, excuse me, not college, but I had a huge crush on a character in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was like, oh, like Yugi? Because growing up, a lot of the girls like Yugi too. It was between Yugi and Kaiba. Well, and Joey too. It was more of Yugi and Kaiba though. But she was like, no, not Yugi, Kaiba. I love Kaiba. The way he looked, the way he acted. Yeah, he was a jerk. But outside of his jerk attitude, he stood 10 toes down. This confidence. She said sometimes his cockiness can get, when he's cocky, I don't like that. She's like, I don't like that. But outside of that, the cockiness and him being mean, his look, his appearance. She said he was all tall and she was all loving that. She was like living it again, like reliving it, her childhood. I was looking at her, I was like, dang. And so I had to go online. I was like, Kaiba, she was like, oh man, I loved it. She's like, I had no idea what was going on in Yu-Gi-Oh! I just wanted to see Kaiba. His voice actor was really good. The way he was drawn, he looked like a man. I was like, I never heard her talk about a cartoon character like that. And then Kaiba, I've heard a couple people in my lifetime mention him, but usually when ladies mention, their childhood like cartoon crush, it's usually like the main character of a show, Ash from Pokemon, Yugi, Goku, stuff like that. But the way she was talking about Kaiba was hilarious. And I could see it. Peeling to the eyes does work. Like I said, she did not know what Yugi, like she knew the show, but she didn't know what was going on. And she didn't care. She just wanted to watch it to see Kaiba. Case in point, like, see my point here?
People can completely fall
it draws you
them
in
before they ever even hear their voice. The look, the aesthetic, the vibe,
male or female,
all is meant to draw people in. The design is the hook. All of this is so important because when a character looks the way they're supposed to feel, that's when the magic happens. That's when people get protective. That's when a fandom really forms. Piggybacking off of all of that, I'd like to touch on something very quickly that gets brought up a lot in conversations like this. And that's the idea that it's just gamers that are the ones who care way too much about a character's appearance. That it's just gamers who have this problem. Like the second someone doesn't like a design, it's suddenly gamers are just toxic and you just need to get over it. But based on everything that I've said thus far, honestly, I do not think that's fair because this is a thing across every genre, every medium. Everybody wants well-designed, fun, good-looking, beautiful, charismatic characters. It's how we're wired, and it's why certain characters instantly spark hype online or
that's a great example. Did I pause it on this one? Actually, this is a good example. Did y'all see the reaction to Grand Theft Auto 6, the recent trailer? Yes, people are excited for the game, but what was the most talked about? Was how, what's her name, the main character, the lady looked. When she was in the bikini, when she was just being there, the way she looked, phased by all that stuff. And people are waiting for Grand Theft Auto, but the number one thing they was talking about, male and female was talking about, was how that lady looked. See how it draws you in? People was ready to pre-order right there. And then it's funny, I paused on this one, and people had the opposite. It was like, who is it, Neil Druckmann that's behind it? What are they doing? Two different ones. You can put her and put the lady at Grand Theft Auto. Two different reactions. That's funny that I paused on that game because that's exactly, that proves my point.
It's how we're wired, and it's why certain characters instantly spark hype online or can aid in tanking a release before it's even out of the oven.
We didn't even see, I don't think we
Now, again, I am not saying every character in a game needs to look like a supermodel, but what I am so tired of seeing is characters.
Actually, wasn't that girl? Isn't she playing Jade in Mortal Kombat?
People making the decisions.
She looked like the same girl from Mortal Kombat.
That has nothing to do with their
movie.
actual background or story. They just do it just because. It really makes no sense. It creates unnecessary dissonance and it pulls people out of the fantasy instead of drawing them in. My last note on this here is just think about celebrities. Think about how people respond to celebrities, whether they're singers or actors. How they look, their appearance is always part of the conversation. And so many times you could easily
I know a lot of people, women mostly, who can care less about a superhero movie. Care less. Even my wife, for example, she knows the movies because she has a husband that's into it. But if she never watched a superhero movie ever in her life, she would be fine. She would be more than fine. But I tell you what, a lot of these ladies, when they see a Thor movie, no matter how bad it is, like Love and Thunder, they're going to see it. They're going to see it. The first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. What was the famous thing? I've said it earlier. Chris Hemsworth with no shirt on, all the muscles showing. It's a moneymaker. People want to see, I say people, not just man or woman. People want to see for the most part, want to see good looking people on screen, whether it's a game or whatnot. It sells. People like say, well, sex. No, it's not just about sex. It's about just the look. I forgot his name. It's funny. I paused on this guy. I forgot his name. You know, people, all they talk about is his eyes. They don't even mention his acting. They just talk about how he looks on the screen, his eyes. It works. And I'm not saying he's a bad actor because I actually see this, bro. He's actually a really good actor. I'm just saying most of the time when they talk about him, it's about how he looks at you. So it works. And you will be a tanking business if that is not one of the things on your list to do. I'm not saying just get anybody because you got to get someone with chemistry that actually works for the project, but that should definitely be a focus. And to say that it's not a focus, you are really putting your business at risk. Just saying.
Even contributes to their success. Even when
Just
it
recently in
has
these games,
nothing to do with what they're known for, it somehow still does. Because that's just how humans respond to other humans.
Yeah.
We're made that way. We notice, we connect, we feel, and what we see at the first glance is the very first step of that. So of course, while beauty is not everything, and it's certainly not a substitute for good writing.
I hate how they're doing my Laura Croft, bro.
It's so often
Laura Croft is my favorite video game female character. And the way they doing her recently, hopefully they turn it around with these, like that cartoon movie, that TV show, whatever it was on Netflix. That was terrible. I heard they're doing another project with her coming up. Hopefully they get it right because I miss the old days of Laura Croft.
Impression. And usually
I did like the trilogy game recently,
captures our attention,
but I hope we
lets
go
us
back
know
to
what
that
the
old
character's about,
PlayStation
and
version,
makes
just
us
upgraded
and
now.
This is something that has always mattered and will always matter.
And yeah, that would never
regardless of
change.
the medium being used to tell the story. And all of this is why I just do not understand why some developers keep getting it wrong. It really feels so simple. Yes, give us great gameplay, fun
Of course.
mechanics, a interesting and meaningful story, but then layer attractive, pretty characters on top of that to create hype around the game, grab our interest, and hold our attention. All of this just makes for a much more enjoyable experience.
I
The
think Anna
developers who
Wong
are
is there
passionate
just
about
for the looks. I
projects
mean, obviously she's part of the
and
story,
they're doing it for the
but
right reasons. Odds are this is probably
I think the
already
main
all
reason was
included.
for her looks.
So it really is a guaranteed formula for success. And they're shooting themselves in the foot if the very first thing that we see is a bland, boring, or just unappealing protagonist or cast of characters. Sorry for the outfit jump scare. This is editor NPC here, and I was watching this back through and wanted to make sure I just clarified this point really well at the end. All right, I'll see myself out. Okay, thank you so much to those who made it to the end of this video. I'm genuinely so glad that you...
Yeah, definitely go check her out. Hold up. And I like that. You hear it from a woman's point of view because there are some instances like this where I always say, you know what? I think it's time for the ladies to start talking and speaking up on this. Yes, a lot of men, you know, like Asmongold and so on and so forth, which they're great, don't get me wrong, are speaking up about it. But let's hear it from a woman's point of view, you know, and shout out to her. I'll put the original video description below. But yeah, that was a great video. And I'm glad that, you know, we was able to hear it from a woman's point of view. And that just proves it. First off, the numbers don't lie. It shows you that this way works. But also, just hearing it from the mouth of another woman instead of a man all the time, you know, it just proves the point. And I know, hold up, yeah, like 300,000 people saw that. I know a lot of them agree with her. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I'll put the original video description below. You go check her out. And yeah, let me know what you think. I'll see you later.